Hello and welcome to History's a Blast. We find ourselves once more in south central Pennsylvania where we're going to immerse ourselves in regional railroad history. So come along. We're camping at the Burnt Cabins Gristmill Campground, which is tucked right up against the Pennsylvania Turnpike. So I apologize for the road noise in the background, but you can't beat the price here. $44 a night for full hookups, and the road noise isn't really that disturbing, to tell you the truth, late at night. The reason for our visit this time is a railroad prototype modelers meet in the brickyard town of Mount Union, Pennsylvania, about 18 miles north of here. There's going to be several vignettes in this video. We're going to share some modeling of regional railroads with you, and eventually we're going to get to the gem of this video, in my opinion, and that's the walk through the East Broadtop Railroad's machine shops and roundhouse, which is a time capsule of railroading in the 1880s and 90s. So I hope you enjoy the video, and with that we'll just get to the vignettes. In the Bricktown Historical Society's museum, and this is the layout under construction by the Bricktown Model Railroaders, Mount Union, Pennsylvania. They're hosting a special gathering of railroad prototype modelers focusing on central Pennsylvania. And on one side here on the right you see the 4-track main line of the Pennsylvania Railroad, and on the other side here you see the East Broadtop Yard in Mount Union under construction, where the interchange with the Pennsylvania Railroad took place. Down there in the distance, the coal cleaning plant under construction, the famous timber transfer, and the narrow gauge is wandering off into the distance. Obviously still very much a work in progress. Now this is the famous reinforced concrete arch bridge at Alwick Mills, and the highway bridge probably will become the highway bridge next to it. Continuing south toward Orbizonia. This looks like the Shirleysburg station. Yep, that's Shirleysburg, all right. Nicely done. Walking on down. This is the part of the railroad, the EBT, that is in the tourist operation today. And we're coming into Rock Hill Furnace, where the Orbizonia station is under construction. And you see the roundhouse, 8 stalls, paint shop, and the shops complex, which is being restored as we speak. Now, these modules belong to George Pierson, author and modeler of the Tuscarora Valley Railroad, a narrow gauge railroad that operated into the early 1930s. Ran from Blair's Mills in south central Pennsylvania up to the Juniata River at Port Royal, the county seat of Juniata County, I think. And beautiful, beautiful modeling. Yeah, this is the engine house at Blair's Mills. There's a warehouse. And at the junction between the two modules, it becomes Port Royal. He has a layout video tour on YouTube, and I will share a link to that video in the description. Here's a locomotive that George built, representing one of the locomotives on my model railroad, the Black Lock and Shade Gap Eastern. our two model railroads interchange with each other. And here's some other beautiful modeling, prototype modeling. The Supply milk cars that ran on the middle division of the Pennsylvania Railroad. Huntington and Broadtop Mountain Railroad.
So as I said, background, my name is Pierson. I was born in State College, Pennsylvania, born and raised there. Every Sunday I went to church in Belfast.
This is a live steam scale model of a H&BT Huntington and Broadtop Mountain caboose, affectionately known as the Sugar Cube. I'll give you an idea how big this thing is in my hand. That's a big scale.
Help me, buddy? Oh, we're gonna try that. Give it a minute.
After all these visits, we're finally going to take a shop tour. Touring the famous machine shops. There's the 3 o'clock train ready to pull off the station. Standard gauge car. Would have come here on narrow gauge trucks in the day. Here we are at the old freight office. Shop tour begins here.
My name's Steve Jackson. I'll be your tour guide today. If you have any questions, please ask. There are 6 Baldwin locomotives on the property. This is number 12. It's the oldest. It was purchased in 1911. It's also the smallest locomotive. Okay. To the left, this one over here, this is number 18. It happens to be the largest locomotive on the property, and it's also the newest. It was purchased in 1920. So in the years between 1911 and 1920, there were 6 locomotives purchased. Number 12 was the smallest. It's a Mikado class locomotive. They're all built by Baldwin Locomotive Works in Philadelphia. It's a 2-8-2 wheel configuration, meaning that there are 2 guide wheels, 8 drive wheels, and then a set of 2 trailing trucks behind it. And it was those trailing trucks that made the locomotives so efficient for this railroad. We want to come back here just, and before that, here's your firebox right here. Okay. Before this style of locomotive showed up, the firebox was up between the drive wheels. Now the drive wheels are only 36 inches apart, so your firebox was actually keyhole shaped. It was very narrow between the wheels, and it would come up above the wheels and flatten out. But by moving the firebox back and putting a set of trucks underneath it for support, they were able to flatten the firebox out, make it much wider and much more efficient, created a lot more steam, and this type of engine locomotive was the game changer for the railroad. It allowed them to pull a lot heavier loads down off the mountain, and more importantly, more empties to the top. First of all, buildings over here, this is the blacksmith shop, right there. To the right, building over here is the foundry. And this, of course, is the machine shop. It was started as soon as they started building railroad. They had a repair facility, and this part of the building probably dates the 1880s. There was a structure here. Okay. Power for the repair of the whole facility comes from two Babcock and Wilcox steam boilers right here, going around here. So the first thing they did was jack up the corners, straighten everything up, and now the overhead belt system is functional. It turns, and if you ever get a chance to come in here when they're operating the belt system, it's worth the trip. The thing that impressed me most about seeing all the pulleys turning, all the belts that are up there, and there's not a complete belt system there, but all the belts that are there, when you turn this on, they all start turning. Everything starts turning, and if it were running right now, I could be talking to you just the way I am, and you can still hear me. It's extremely quiet. Now that doesn't mean the machines were quiet, but the belt system itself, operating by itself, is very quiet. Okay, when you turn the steam engine on, and that big flywheel starts turning, and that seven-layer leather belt starts turning, I'm a volunteer. I'm a member of the group called the Friends of the East Broad Top. We're dedicated to preservation, restoration, and interpretation of the railroad. We support the railroad, and we have 1,900 members, and we're always looking for more. If any of you would care to join, your membership, yearly membership is $35. You get a magazine, the Timber Transfer, comes out 4 times a year, and a monthly newsletter that comes digitally every month, usually midnight on the 1st of the month. They were late this month, though I didn't get mine till last Sunday.
That's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and will take time to view some of our other ones.